Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Padders, and you've tuned in to PadReviews. The game I will be looking at today is a game called Kung Fu Strike Warriors Rise. This is a 3D action brawler released in July 2012 by a company called Cooksoft. I picked this game up in the Indie Royale The Mash bundle. The bundle is currently going for just under £4 and has got another 2.5 days remaining, so it might be worth you having a look at it. So now we know what game I'll be looking at today, let us dive right on in. First of all, it has to be noted that the menus are not mouse controlled. This is a minor inconvenience and will be the first mark against the game. The first part that will be checked is the help and options menu. Within this menu there is the controls, the help, the settings and the credits. Within the controls menu there is a set of keys that can be used on the keyboard and an Xbox 360 pad with the buttons to use on there. The next mark against the game comes in the form of lacking of rebindable keys. This is particularly troublesome for playing with or against a friend. The next menu is the help. This shows the keys that will be used and what results in these keys being pressed. There is a recording that shows what is going to happen, and this is something that I appreciate. The help also presents the basic mechanics of the game in a decent manner. Moving on is the settings. This is very sparse, showing only a few general options and some levels for music, sound effects and brightness. This is missing all of the graphical options and the resolution options. The graphic options don't affect the game too heavily as the game is fairly easy to play using any computer, but it is much more annoying not being able to change the resolution options. There is the ability to change some of these options in the config.xna file, but the inability to do this within the game just makes it feel like a sloppy Xbox Live Arcade port. The credits is the final part of the help and options menu, and in the background of this you are able to control the character to have a little play around with the controls. This doesn't offer much to the game, but is a nice little feature to have. Moving on is the achievements, and the game does have some achievements, and most are quite difficult to get. This offers a little replay value for those who really care about all of these achievements. Personally though, these didn't impact greatly upon my game. The penultimate part of the main menu is the two multiplayer options. The game does have a score attack to the levels, so having the leaderboard to check on who is a great deal better than you is nice. This is a little lackluster as it isn't available within the game without opening a Steam browser window. The other part of the multiplayer is the local only co-op and PvP. This is a nice mode to have, but I feel it was made mostly for the Xbox 360 audience. The inability to rebind keys here is a real kick in the teeth, as if, like me, you don't have a numpad on your keyboard, you cannot play this mode. So even if I had a friend, we couldn't play this. One other thing to note about this is you cannot play PvP without playing nearly all of the levels first, which is something that I don't understand at all. Now for the real meat of the game, the single player experience. Within this part of the game is the level select screen, which is nicely laid out in levels and tiles. This is a pretty part of the game and the artwork is carried through to the rest of the game. Once a level has been selected, you move on to the difficulty select screen. As I explained earlier, the levels are score based, so your end mark is dependent on these scores. As you might have guessed already, the higher difficulty, the higher the score available. The screen also has three other options which are of use: the moves menu, the equipment and the My Army. The moves menu shows all of the moves available and also a recording of the moves being carried out, which is nice. A gripe that I have with the game so far is that you unlock the moves as the game goes on. I don't mind some of the options, but some of the moves are almost required to get the best score, forcing you to replay some of the levels. The equipment menu has 3 slots. At the beginning you can only buy a few items, and as you complete the levels you collect more items to buy. The final option is the My Army menu. This shows the people that you can summon once a horn drop has been found. You also collect drops at the end of missions to collect more of these. You also have the ability to turn these off, so you don't have the option to summon that troop during the game. Once the difficulty has been selected, you get a short comic strip to explain the story. This is quite pleasant and also allows the story to be told for each level. So now we move on to the gameplay, and first I will be explaining what is good with the game. The game has fluid keyboard controls, and I have had little trouble with using it throughout the game. This helps make the combat feel quite exciting and meaty. This is supported by the use of the combo system, which is really well made, and I appreciate the changing colour at 50 combos to show that you have made a substantial combo. The other part that really makes the combat more exhilarating is the boss battles. While the music is not bad throughout the game and serves only to increase the atmosphere, the boss battles are where the music really kicks in. Have a listen to this. This really helps to make the boss feel strong and adds to the adrenaline and atmosphere built up for the fight. The next part that is good about the game is the difficulty. This game is tough and unforgiving, and I like that. It gives you nothing and really makes you fight for every victory, which makes the win that much sweeter. There are some things, however, that I don't like about the game. The method in which the tutorials introduce new concept is not built particularly well. An example of this is level 4 when you are fighting a swordsman. He turns red, which you have seen before, and you know you have to block here. Once you block, however, his attack goes right underneath, which causes damage to you. Once the damage has been taken, the game then informs you that you cannot block that move. Another problem that I have found with the game is that mechanics that are introduced in the later levels feel cheap and only to extend the gameplay through grinding. This is particularly prevalent during the levels 17 to 20. During these levels, you have been poisoned, so you lose health, and the only way to win these levels is to defeat the enemies and find health drops which are released at random. One more issue I had was with the smaller enemies. There is no need to block for most of them, and you can get away with just smashing the J and K keys. And the final gripe with the game is the auto camera. This is left to last because it's the least problematic of all the negatives of the game. Sometimes the camera moves and an enemy which has launched themselves to take a swing at you takes you by surprise by coming in from nowhere on the screen, ruins your combo and causes some damage. In conclusion to this, the game is difficult but fun, with only a few mechanical flaws affecting the game. The bosses are easily the best parts of the game, with the cranked up music. The requirement to block, dodge and use chi moves to defeat them really is the most exciting, and when you win you feel like it has been worth the 10 attempts you have made already to try and beat them. I would say this game is definitely worth a look, and at £7.99 on Steam, if you don't get it through a bundle, it may be worth your time and money. There is a demo available on Steam as well, so if you're looking for a 3D action brawler, or even just looking for another game to sink your time into, there really isn't an excuse for missing out on this game. My name has been Padders, and you have just listened to Padders Reviews. If you would like the video, please like and subscribe, and also add a comment down below. Next week I'll be looking at either Uplink or Darwinia, both by Introversion Software, so please comment if you want to see one or the other. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.